Hello friends and welcome back to this video. Friends, in this video, we'll talk about what core skill set is required to be into investment banking domain. So aspirationally, if you're planning to make a career into investment banking domain, so how you should prepare, as a fresher. So we'll talk about all these things because there's a misconception in the market. Okay, if you know valuation, if you know modeling, and that's it, this is what required to be into investment banking domain. But guys, this is not exactly the skill set which you should have, only skill set you should have to be into investment banking domain. So we'll discuss about all the skill set. Okay, but before that, let's quickly understand what investment banking is all about. So guys, investment banking is not just about valuation. Investment banking is not just about preparing models. Investment banking is about advising client on the various deals like mergers and acquisitions, initial public offering, corporate restructuring kind of things, right? So here you have to, tell to the client, logic behind every deal, right? It's not just about models you create and say, okay, why you should do this deal. So why Tata Motors would have acquired, JLR, why Tata Steel acquired Chorus, right? Why a company based out of Japan like Takeda Pharma Company, they would have acquired, Shire PLC for $62 billion, right? So you have to answer all these questions with your analysis. You should be good in analyzing companies' financials, company's requirement, and how a particular acquisition would be helpful to the company in its future growth, right? Now, friends, let's talk about the skill set, right? What skill set you should have to be into investment banking domain. There is a first skill set which you should have. So we'll break down this into different parts, okay? So the first skill set which you should have is the financial modeling skill set, okay? This is one of the main prerequisites to be into investment banking domain. You should be good in preparing financial models of the company, creating those spreadsheets, linking financial statements of the company, see how the numbers flow from one statement to other statement, see how changing assumption, okay, say if I'm changing assumption of my revenue growth, how it will impact my cash from operations, my balance sheet numbers, right? All those things. Then other kind of models, little advanced models could be leverage buyout models. You should be good in to understand, if you do an LBO deal of a company, how you will manage your leverage in the future, considering the cash flows of the company. Merger and acquisition model, right? M&A model. So here we understand the impact of transaction on the future earning performance of a company, whether the deal would be accretive or dilutive for the acquirer. So these are the basic financial models you should be good at, okay, to be into investment banking domain. Now, the second skill set. There's a second skill set, which is again a prerequisite to be into investment banking, is the valuation. Okay, you should be good in doing the valuation of a company to understand, what's the true worth of the business. Because in every finance deal, right, whether it's related to acquisition or it's related to initial public offering, or if the company is going for demerger, everywhere you have to justify the logic with the valuation. If I'm doing an acquisition of a company, I should be able to understand the right valuation of the target company, right? I cannot afford to be wrong at this part. Because if one mistake, right, suppose if, in acquisition of Shire PLC by Takeda of $62 billion acquisition, if the valuation is wrong by just 10%, it will cost $6 billion to the acquirer or maybe the target company. So you have to be good and precise in your valuation. And valuation is not just about creating models and just being a mechanical in this process. You should be good in terms of understanding, the impact of assumptions on the final output and how to take those assumptions as per the client's business, as per the, the business model of a company, products, services they are into, and obviously the industry scenario, industry trends and all, right? So this you have to be good at. And this skill set is definitely tested in your investment banking interviews. Now the third skill set which is required is basic understanding of accounting. I'm not saying you have to be accountant to be into investment banking domain, because you're not supposed to prepare financial statements, right? You're not supposed to create annual reports of the companies, but you have to deal with those numbers, right? You have to deal with the financial statements. So you should be able to understand, what financial statements are conveying to the investors, right? How revenue is different from the cash flows, how the recurring net income is different from the cash profits, right? How the change in the leverage will impact company's profitability, right? So all these things you should be able to comprehend, okay? Now, the fourth skill set, guys, which is again very important, is your presentation skill set. I call it PPT skill set, right? You should be good in preparing PPTs and presentations, because ultimately, whatever analysis you are doing for your client, you should be good in presenting that analysis with your presentations, right? So we say in the investment banking, whatever good analysis you have done, but if you are not able to present this analysis well, it's a useless for the client. Okay, so you should be good in presenting your analysis, your thought process to the client in a clear and direct manner, I'll say. Okay, and at the same time, you should be good storyteller also, because guys, in all the deals we talk about, whether it's related to acquisition, IPOs, valuation, etc., we deal with lots of assumptions, right? So you should be able to justify those assumptions with your storytelling, skill set. So you should be good storyteller to become a successful investment banker. Okay. Now, next skill set, which is again very important, guys, you should be good in the communication skill, right? You should be able to communicate your thought process, your analysis in clear-cut manner. Okay, because here you're dealing with the top management of the company, you're dealing with the CEO, CFO of the companies, right? So you should be very good in networking, you should be very good in people engagement, and should be very clear in your thought process and your communication skill set. Okay, so that's prerequisite. Okay, now friends, the last skill set which you should have to be into investment banking domain or to start your career as an investment banker is understanding about the business. So as I told you, investment banking is not just all about the numbers. Okay, it's not about you are good in numbers, you can become a good investment banker. At the same time, you should be good in understanding the businesses, because here you need to deal with the businesses of the client, right? Why a particular company's revenue is increasing, decreasing, what are the revenue drivers, what are the revenue drivers of a hotel company, what are the revenue drivers of a telecom company, what are the revenue drivers of IT companies, what are the cost drivers of a particular business. And say these days you have seen that the oil prices are shooting up like anything. Now, how this increase in the crude oil prices will impact the profitability of a particular business. Maybe your company is into a, say, paint business. So it's, main derivative of oil, crude oil is the main raw material of paint companies. So how it will impact the profit margins, how it will impact the valuation of the companies, because we see, okay, whenever there is a change in the crude oil prices, few companies or sectors which are very sensitive to this crude oil prices, their prices changes like anything. So as a banker, you should be able to understand what's the exact relationship between the change in the price and the change in the valuation of the companies. So friends, this is what the couple of skill set you should work on to be into investment banking domain. I hope you will find this video useful. And if you start practicing on this skill set, you will definitely be able to make your successful career into investment banking. But if I just summarize you, so what you need to work on, you need to work on the financial modeling skill set. You start practicing financial modeling on the different companies which are already listed in the market. Maybe create a couple of models so that you can display those models to the your interviewers. Start making presentations. Okay, presentations on sectors, on the companies related to the deal, again to showcase. Also guys, you should start networking also, right? You have to reach out to the people who are into the same domain through the LinkedIn and the other social media networks, but the professional one, right? And yes, you have to work on your communication skill set. This is again very important skill set as we have discussed. So guys, I'll suggest you start preparing on these skill set along with the degree you're pursuing. And definitely if you work on these skill set, you would be able to make a successful career into investment banking domain. So till then, goodbye and good luck.